The Founding Fathers, American Revolution, our Constitution, our history, America. Thanks so much for tuning in as we discuss the people, places, events, and battles that turned 13 separate colonies into the greatest nation on earth, the United States.
Welcome back, Patriots. I am your host, Ron Kern, and I'm so glad that you're here. I want to thank you for allowing me to share my passion for the Revolution and our country's history with you. In previous episodes, I've discussed the video series that I started about 3 months ago called The Patriot Power Freedom Files, which is on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. As I'm going to start posting the audio from the Freedom Files as short episodes right here within the Patriot Power Podcast. But if you still want to watch the video, I have all of them indexed on our website, patriotpowerpodcast.com. Once there, you just click Freedom Files, and they are all organized in order and available to you. I will likely post one Freedom Files per week, so, if nothing else, you'll have new episodes and more information to listen to more frequently. Hello, everybody. This is Ron with the Patriot Power Freedom Files, and I am going to be talking about what transpired on today's date, November 11th in 1778. It is the Cherry Valley Massacre, a pretty brutal battle. And first off, I would like to apologize for the long delay. Last several weeks, I've been fighting off and trying to recover from COVID and the flu and whatever else came my way. I get sick about once every 3 years, and so when it hits me pretty hard. But I'm back in the saddle. I finally have my voice back. So let's talk about what happened in 1778 on today's date, November 11th. So the Cherry Valley Massacre, it refers to a tragic event that took place on November 11th, 1778, of course, during the American Revolutionary War. This brutal incident took place in a settlement of Cherry Valley, which is located now in present-day Otsego County, New York. The massacre was part of a larger conflict between the colonies and the British forces, along with Native American tribes that oftentimes became involved on one side or the other. So a little bit of background on this particular battle. So the War of Independence between, obviously, the 13 colonies in Great Britain had been going on since 1775. It had finally reached the frontier regions where the Native American tribes were drawn into the struggle. They either aligned themselves with the British or the American forces based upon promises of protection or land. Now, the location of Cherry Valley, it was a pretty small settlement in the Mohawk Valley, which was a region strategically significant during the Revolutionary War due to its location, and it had a lot of resources. So the parties that were involved in this massacre was the, of course, British Army, which was trying to maintain control over this area, and they oftentimes collaborated with the Native American tribes to launch attacks on American settlements and the colonists and the colonial army. The Iroquois Confederacy, particularly the Mohawks and Senecas, they both sided with the British in hopes of preserving their territories and their traditional way of life. The American colonists, now this was a predominant American settlement, and its residents were at high risk due to their allegiance to the revolutionary cause. So they supported independence, and that put them in a bad situation. So Cherry Valley was strategically important for both sides due to its location near the Mohawk River and a tremendous amount of agriculture resources. The British, led by Mohawk chief Joseph Brant, he was an incredible guy, he planned an expedition to the Cherry Valley to disrupt American supply lines. Also, he wanted to terrorize the local population and discourage support for the revolutionary cause. So he's trying to get all the colonists to not side with Americans. So on today's date in 1778, Brant and his forces, along with a contingent of the British regulars and Indians, they did a surprise attack at Cherry Valley. The residents were totally caught off guard, and the settlement quickly fell into chaos. The attackers engaged in brutal and indiscriminate violence, so much so that they killed men, women, and even young kids. Homes were burned, settlement was ravaged, outbuildings, barns were burned, animals were killed. It was bad. In fact, reports from the few survivors documented the horrifying events, including mutilating the dead, scalping, and it was just not a pretty picture. In fact, it shocked not only the colonists, but the other side as well. So the Cherry Valley Massacre had intensified hostilities on the frontier, leading to increased fear and animosity between the settlers and the Native American tribes that aligned with the British. So instead of subduing the colonists, it actually fueled a desire for retaliation among American forces, which contributed to the continued cycle of violence that took place on the frontier. So the legacy of this was the Cherry Valley Massacre is a poignant and tragic response in American history, illustrating the high human cost of the Revolutionary War on the frontier and the very complex relationships between colonial powers and the Native American tribes during this turbulent period. The Cherry Valley Massacre stands as a somber reminder of the brutality that often characterized frontier conflicts during the American Revolutionary War, highlighting the complexities and consequences of alliances between colonial powers and Native Americans. I'd appreciate if you would consider doing a review of my podcast, as it takes less than a minute. And why do I want more? Because the more reviews it receives, the easier it is for others to find it, learn from, and experience the American Revolution. If you want to help even further, you can become a monthly supporter or make a one-time donation. You can do this by clicking Support Podcast at the top of my website.
Thanks for listening, and hope that you tune in next time with us here at the Patriot Power Podcast. Make sure that you hit subscribe so you'll get notified when our new episodes are available for you. And we hope that you check out our websites, which include our show notes, links, documents, and more at patriotpowerpodcast.com or ilovegeorgewashington.com. Until next time, hope that you and your family have a blessed week. And remember, be safe and tell a veteran thanks for their service.